Well, I was saying that we're here to talk about the art of hospitality, and I think this is a perfect place to do it because I actually think this venue nails hospitality on every level. So happy to be here. Happy to do this on behalf of Pete Shapiro and the rest of the team. And we've got an amazing panel of folks here. And before we get into the art of hospitality, just want to introduce the folks on the panel here. Michael Dorf, City Winery, started the Knitting Factory. Give it up for the Knitting Factory, City Winery. Michael, if you want to quickly just tell us about, your brief synopsis of your career, but from the Knitting Factory to City Winery, that would be great.
I started the Knitting Factory and went to City Winery. I have followed Pete Shapiro's career the whole time.
Smart man.
Yeah. It's a long story, so let's talk about hospitality. I've always felt the same, whether it was the Knitting Factory or City Winery, is that my job is to create a stage, and we're this medium between the customer and their idol, and the artist, and then the artist and their fan, and we're just this spot in between the two, and we need to think about everything. The stage, the lighting, the air conditioning, the food, the service, every little component, that's our job. To think that we're any more important than being this medium is gonna fuck with your ego. We're purely a platform for the fan to be able to connect with their favorite person in the world.
You're not giving yourself enough credit.
Agreed. I think Prince would differ. I think he'd say you created a pretty special venue, or venues, I should say. Annabelle Lukens from Cloud9 Adventures. Give it up for the woman and her pants. Annabelle started with at MTV, then she was at a label, she was at Telluride Bluegrass Festival, and then was the very first employee of Cloud9 Adventures. And if you want to just quickly tell us about what you guys do at Cloud9 Adventures, that would be awesome.
So at Cloud9 Adventures, we produce concert vacations on cruise ships and all-inclusive resorts, which really helps bring the bands closer to their fans, and we help cultivate new communities. It's really cool.
Beautiful. I should also add that her mother is a famous cookbook author, so and she writes amazing cookbooks, so I fanboyed out a little bit. Eddie Meehan from Wonderful Union was at, he never spells names of his companies how they should. It's always like the license plate version, from Buck Wild to Ground Control. Which
it's very 90s.
Very 90s, yeah. 90s hip-hop.
Early 2000s.
Yeah. And then Wonderful Union also along the way became Nick Carter's manager from Backstreet. Back in town. Give it up. You can give it up for Backstreet just because we're at Brooklyn Bowl.
I mean, don't be.
Yeah, don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
If you want to tell us a little bit about Wonderful Union, that'd be great.
Yeah, started the company about 12 years ago, building websites, turned into fan clubs, turned into fan experiences, and then, VIP packages and special events, and really fan engagement. That's what I do.
Lovely. Yeah. Sitting at the end, my arch nemesis.
Last but not least,
Josh
is there
Capon.
anybody out there?
Josh Capon from Mercer Hospitality Group. He's got a couple of restaurants. You might have heard of them. Lore Fish Bar in New York and Miami, Burger and Barrel, El Toro Blanco, because every white guy needs to own a Mexican restaurant. Bowery Meat Company.
They're all Aron Sanchez's recipes. They're all out of his book.
I know. I sent you the book, bro.
I give him credit all the time.
And Josh, you want to tell us quickly? I know I mentioned your restaurants, but maybe a little bit about your company and your approach.
First of all, I don't know if Seth is still here, but my first concert was Whitesnare in the Meadowlands, which was pretty cool when he said that. I don't know if Shappy's still here. I assume he is, but as far as Fare Thee Well, I have a whole wall of concert posters in my basement, and my favorite thing in the middle are the 3 tickets from Fare Thee Well, because I think they might be the most beautiful concert tickets of all time. And I only went to one show, I'm not going to lie, but he got me all 3 tickets, and I framed them beautifully.
Nice.
Hospitality, baby.
So
And
for
that's
all
the
you
centerpiece.
hundreds of thousands of fans that couldn't get a ticket, blame Josh Capon.
It was after the fact that they were dead tickets. I didn't take anybody's seat. That's not, I didn't do that.
All right, now you let you
But I
off the
will
hook.
say, and by the way, you guys mentioned earlier, will Brooklyn Bowl work, right? Robert Plant, Snoop Dogg, Guns N' Roses, Jane's Addiction, to name a few. But this is the first time I've been sitting on this stage, so this is quite an honor.
Agreed. All right, so the reason we're all here today to talk about the art of hospitality, I think the first thing we wanted to start with is just how do we define hospitality, or how do you individually define hospitality? I always have thought that Danny Meyer's explanation of hospitality was the perfect way to do it. That service.
Who's Danny Meyer?
Small guy, a couple restaurants, a couple Shake Shacks here and there. He said that service is the technical delivery of a product, and hospitality is how delivery of that product makes the recipient feel. And I always thought that was just perfectly said, but I'd love to hear how you guys define hospitality.
We think Danny Meyer and Enlightened Hospitality, which is the name of the philosophy behind what he does in the book Setting the Table, is the most important read anybody can have in hospitality. We make every employee, whether they're in the kitchen or in the front of the house, read the book. We give it to them as part of their onboarding. I've bought over 2,000 copies at this point. We have 1,400 employees. They all get the book. It's essential reading, and it is the definition of hospitality. It is the art of hospitality.
Love it. Anyone else want to add to it?
I think knowing what the customer needs before they even they know it. As simple as that. Because I like that definition, but honestly, I have no idea what that even means, what you just read by Danny. I have to really read that again and again. I think it's a little more simple than that. Just taking care of your guests as if they're in your home and making sure they have everything they need.
And creating a reason for them to want to come back, a reason to feel that specialness of an amazing experience.
Yeah, they want to feel comforted. They want to feel loved. They want to feel like we're paying attention to their needs, as you were saying, Josh, before they even know what their needs are. So they walk into our resorts or their cabins, and they have gift bags, and they have items, and it makes them feel comfortable.
And it really starts from the moment whether they're thinking about going to your establishment or going to your event or the minute that they're thinking about engaging, and how that whole process is, if it's a paid venue, if it's a paid vacation, or if it's a restaurant. From the moment they think about going to the moment the next time they want to come, that is all of it that's encompassing, and how that's executed.
It's as simple as like when you sit at a bar, or if you grab a table, a lane, even a pitcher of ice water with a bunch of plastic cups, or you can sit at the nicest bar in the world, the first thing you get is a glass of water. And it just says, hey, you need a glass of water, especially if you're going to have a cocktail, that's the rule. And you should never have to ask for a glass of water. I mean, it's that simple. And I always tell my servers at the restaurants, people should come back to see you as much as they came back for the great meal. I mean, you should leave that kind of impression. I tell the hostesses too, answer the phone with a smile. And they look at me like, what does that mean? I'm like, answer the phone with a smile. Let them hear you genuinely excited that you're calling the restaurant, and give them a big thank you on the way out, because it goes a long way.
Smalling, we call that. Like smizing, but on the phone. Anyway. All right, so we define what hospitality is, but I'd love to hear a little bit about your approach to hospitality and how it's led to your success. I know that all of you have amazing experiences that you provide for your guests, and it feels seamless. The guests come in and they have a great time and they think it's easy, and obviously that is not the case. A lot of work goes into it, a lot of training and repetition. So I'd love to just hear a little bit from each of you about your approach to it and how it's helped you be successful.
You're looking at me, so we're going in this order each time. That's pretty straightforward.
Pass to the left.
I fucked up a lot at the knitting factory. First couple of years just were too cheap to even have water backstage, and we learned a lot over time. The chance to be able to do it again and start over with City Winery was quite an opportunity to make sure that at least going to start at a higher level, and have tried, to embrace it at the deepest level. I think one of the advantages a music venue has over any other kind of hospitality environment is we get the added sensory opportunity of music, which adds a magic to the potential culinary offering that is really extremely unique. It allows us to have an extra ingredient that Danny Meyer does not have. We've been thinking, is that Pete clapping? Yeah, it's true. So, we have this thing now we call it Indulge Your Senses. We've been trying to really think about that, the whole sensory component of what we do. So not only do we have the smells of the food and the taste of the wine or other spirits, but to be able to listen and feel and touch these magical moments, and to just think about how important this particular time is in someone's life at that moment. This hopefully will be a memory that they're going to have for the rest of their lives. And our job is to make that magic every single night, and in 10 cities at the same time if you have that opportunity.
Love that. It's great. Annabelle?
Well, Cloud9, you go to these all-inclusive resorts, or you go to on the cruise, and so they have guest relations people there, but the Cloud9 team is so amazing. So I want to give a shout out to all of them. We just work so hard, and guest relations, customer service is so vital to our company. So we go that extra mile. And not only do we do that for the fans, but we do that for the artists too. And we make them feel like they are the most important people in the world. And so we just do everything we can to make sure that their needs are met. And we do it with style, and we do it with class, and we do it with grace. And the feedback that we get from the fans and the artists is just that they have been treated better at our events than a lot of others, and it just makes us feel really good knowing that they've taken that away and want to continue to work with us.
I'm glad you touched on the artist piece, because, by the way, for those who don't know, she has the artist whisperer title in her nickname, but the artists feeling that is obviously important, because you want the great artists to come and play at your festivals. So I think that cannot be underrated, how important it is to make them feel. And obviously there's a distinction between how you're treating the artists and the guests, and if you want to, feel free to elaborate on that if you want any more, but I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, artists like to be treated a certain way, but I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same attitude. We just want them to feel completely at home. And so, I mean, we've done a bunch of years of One Big Holiday with My Morning Jacket, and they love Cloud9. We just announced an event with Wilco today, and we're just really, isn't that awesome? And it's so cool to just know that these artists are so excited to work with us. Brandi Carlile, we just went on sale and sold out in one day with our second event with Brandi Carlile. And it's an all-female lineup, and it's just amazing because, okay, so think about this all-female lineup, and the fans that attend, they feel comfortable. I mean, being able to go to a music event that's away from home, you want to feel like you're on vacation, and these artists and these fans really feel like they are getting a very high-end music experience, which, look, we've all been in tents, we've all been in porta potties that are overflowing, we've all been in those situations, and these give artists and fans the opportunity to have a luxury experience, and they love it. They love it.
They do. I've heard them say it. Eddie?
For me, it's definitely going back to what you're saying about the training, the education, the staff, the people that you hire, and leading with the vision of what we're trying to achieve. Most of my clients are all touring, so I have to strip it all down and create these experiences that are, sometimes artists run late, people, things happen, things break, whatever it is, but I feel that it really comes down to the people that I've hired and the people that I surround myself with, and that's, like you, shout out to all of them. There's lots of issues, and just making sure that we you know, everybody leaves happy.
Mr. Capon?
He's
Am I supposed to
speechless.
remember? Am I
Speechless?
supposed to remember what the question was?
I kind of forgot too. I was just like, what am I? I was listening to you guys. I don't know what the hell I was.
I asked
saying.
how is
I'm still thinking about the San Gennaro French bread pizza that I've had here 45,000 times. I think for me, and I'm more in the restaurant business than the music side, but I think it starts with taking care of your own, taking care of your own family, as we call it in the restaurant business. Most of the, and I use the term kids that are working in the restaurant business, it's not what they want to be doing. Nobody went to high school saying, I want to be a server in New York City when I grow up. Most of them are aspiring musicians or actresses or writers, but they make good money. But you have to give them a reason to take care of everybody else. It's something, when you work in a restaurant, you get family meal, right? You get a pre-shift meal. If that meal is shit, I'm not going to be really feeling good about myself when I go into service. And I've told my cooks that you got to cook for the family like you're cooking for your family. It's that simple. And I think if you give them a place to work where you treat them with respect, you feed them well, I think, I always have a saying, no bullshit. You got to earn your stripes and no bullshit. Come to work, do what you're supposed to do. Even if you're working here, you might be a huge Robert Plant fan, but if he's playing and you're waiting tables, your main priority is taking care of the tables. It doesn't mean for a few minutes you can't stand there and be like, holy crap, Robert Plant's on stage, but you have to remember what your focus is, and I think today it's getting harder and harder with cell phones. We didn't grow up with cell phones, right? I mean, they're such a distraction, and our servers are supposed
Annabelle did, but not us, yes.
Our servers signed something that they're supposed to keep their cell phones in their locker when they go to work. Nobody does, and what am I supposed to do? Keep policing them? Like, we all have other things to do, but you have to really focus on what you're doing when you're doing it, which I think is becoming very challenging.
I just would like to punctuate how important this is. I mean, I'm glad you brought up the team and the family, because we can have all these visions and philosophies, and you can hand someone a book, but the execution of it and to have them actually truly feel the need to offer that level of hospitality to a customer is something that requires, it's more than training, it's more than financial incentives, it's finding the right people and somehow getting them to understand how important it is. It's really, really challenging out there, especially in big places where where you have 30 people at the pre-shift, just finished their family meal. They do want to get on the phone and smoke a joint or whatever, and they're not ready to spend 6 hours dedicated to the customers that are going to be in there. It's so hard.
No doubt. I'm going to ask this question for Josh first because I don't want you to forget it by the time it gets to you. But when something goes wrong, which obviously inevitably happens, we're talking about training people to do it right, but obviously things happen, or you could have a difficult guest or whatever it might be. When something goes wrong, how do you address somebody who hasn't had a good experience, whether that's with the guest directly or with your staff and how they're handling it?
Honesty. I think honesty. I train my servers that if something goes wrong at a table, you have a better chance of turning that table into regulars for life. If somebody comes in and has a very nice dinner and a very nice experience and they leave, that was lovely. Thank you very much. If something goes wrong, whatever it is, and you have the opportunity to what's the right word?
Remedy? Resolve?
Yeah. If you have the opportunity to turn that around and go above and beyond and really acknowledge that, hey, we screwed up, whatever it was, and turn them into customers for life by acknowledging them, just being honest, saying, hey guys, listen, we screwed this up, whatever it is. We have tables that wait a half an hour, 45 minutes for a reservation. Nobody wants to wait half an hour, 45 minutes, but I guarantee as soon as they sit down and we send over this, and this, and they already had a glass of champagne at the bar, it kind of eases the pain a little bit. And on the way out, whether it's complimentary desserts, and it's not about giving stuff away for free. It's acknowledging that, you know what, didn't exactly go according to plan. We did what we can. Hopefully you forgive us. And there are some pricks out there that no matter what you do, it's never enough. And you know what? I don't want them back anyway. Yeah. But the people that genuinely appreciate you going out of your way and saying, you know what, it was an off night, the steak was a little bit overcooked, whatever it was, those are the customers that come back time and time again. Honesty is such a lonely word.
This will probably be your last,
Come on,
your
we're on
last time
stage
on
at
the
Brooklyn
stage.
Bowl. You got to sing a little
Capon's
bit.
at the Garden
Very
tonight,
nice.
everybody.
I agree with you. It's being honest, and it's also from in my space. It's because I'm not in, it's not a meal. It's an overall experience that I'm providing, and I'm providing it to people they have usually a higher elevated fanaticism to the client that I'm representing. For me, it's doing whatever it takes to resolve it, and that sometimes it's not always about the money. It's about sometimes this is buying them a drink, listening to them bitch for an hour at me. But as I was starting out years ago, I would have some fans who, I remember one time at Madison Square Garden, I had an artist who was late, and I had some drunk fan, spit in my face and hit me. That one's never going to be resolved. Just get the fuck out, go away. But if you just sit down and talk with somebody, like you said, I'm jumping on your bandwagon here, but just be honest with them. Something, production's running late, the catering's different, whatever it happens to be. Take them aside and listen to them. And if you listen to them, and it's hard to do sometimes, but you listen, maybe it's 5, 6 people. And sometimes in foreign countries where there's a massive barrier, if you listen to them and agree with them and hear what they want, you can usually resolve it for the most part.
I think everybody in life wants to be heard, and they want to be understood. And that's just a key. So, first of all, transparency is obviously the best way, but that's not always available. But back to that is empathy. So people want to feel like you understand. So if you have an issue, I know how you feel. I can understand how that would bother you. That in itself, it takes down the wall. And it relates you, so now you're on the same page as this person. And then they can talk to you and they feel more comfortable doing that. And so that's really important, but you stay connected to that person. And I just think that's a huge thing, and that's gotten us out of a lot of things. And I don't know if we're going to talk about the artists later, but you form relationships with these people. The stronger your relationships are with these people, the more that they respect your company and respect me as an individual or people that we work with, the easier it will be to diffuse the situations. So we don't have strangers in our company, and we don't have strangers. Nobody is a stranger at our events. We're all there for love and for music and for fun, and so it sort of breaks down those walls if you can establish those relationships early on, too.
Great insights.
I
Michael?
think what Josh said was right on. Came right out of Danny Meyer's book, Chapter 7, Setting the Table, which is...
I have to admit, though, I never read the book.
I know, but
I'm embarrassed, but I never read the book.
You're a pure restaurateur who totally gets it. So that whole philosophy is writing the last chapter, is what Danny calls it, and it's going the extra mile. It goes a little beyond transparency and honesty and humbleness, and actually going beyond to make that person a customer for life. We've had delays on a lot of our openings. I think it was 2 months in Boston, and we had Joan Armatrading booked, and this couple had bought a pair of tickets to come down from Toronto, and they had the hotel reservation, and we totally fucked them up. And it was more than just getting on the phone or sending a note saying, really sorry, I'm being super empathetic, we fucked up. It had to go the extra mile, and we flew them to Chicago to see Joan there. We went, it was ridiculous, but they're now our favorite, we're the favorite place for them, and they tell everybody. The couple of $1,000 we maybe spent was probably the best marketing we could have ever done, because they were telling everybody in Toronto about how great we were to go the extra mile. So writing the last chapter gets you customers for life.
Turning customers into promoters of your own business is priceless.
Yeah, evangelists.
And what we were all saying is, we all make mistakes. It's how do you handle the mistakes? So what you were just saying that's great. Just prove to them, we're so sorry, we're going to go.
Expensive.
It is expensive, but you can't put a price tag on the relationships that we build with our with our customers. And so just what we do behind the scenes to let everybody know that they really actually care that much, that they're going to do what you did or do what any of us would do to make them happy and to hopefully have them back as repeat customers. They have respect for that. I know that they do.
No doubt. And I also think the fact that you're even just, regardless of what it costs, just the fact that your brain even goes there means you're thinking about it the right way. You understand hospitality and what it means in the long run. All right, so not that I am comparing anyone up here to the disaster that was Fire Festival, but in the age of the cheese sandwich on social media and knowing how much social media can just go crazy and impact somebody's experience and people who were not there, what they think about that experience, and feel free, whoever wants to take it first. How has the rise of the social media culture for the restaurant business, that everyone's a critic, everyone thinks they're a chop judge, like how has that impacted your approach to guest relations?
For me, it opens up the path directly to the client, to the artist, to the athlete, to the person I'm representing. And it's a good thing, it's a bad thing. Being in my space, it's very, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and there are every day I'm getting an artist emailing me saying, hey, how come this person is saying this? How come this person is saying that? And that's been an issue. But at the same time, setting up activations, setting up events, experiences where we create elements of social media installations is kind of what our things are turning into now. It's been great because it markets what we're doing. So there's a negative and a positive. Yeah.
Sure.
I am still on the fence of whether or not social media is the end of the world. I really am. I'm not sure where it's going to go, but I mean, I think on one hand it brings people together, and you can share in other people's joy. You can see what other people are doing, but at the same time, it really takes away from what you're doing and who you're doing it with. And again, I'm 47 years old, so I feel like a little bit older when I watch kids and my own daughter. Like, it's this need to. It's strange in a way to watch. You know, I play the game. I kind of have to. You know, I was walking in here and I'm like, look at me, I'm a Brooklyn Bowl. You know, letting everybody know where I am. And another time, I'm like, who the fuck cares? You know, but it's an interesting dynamic in the restaurant business. Everybody becomes a critic as they're sitting there. It's live time. You know, and like I've noticed some restaurants like. They play the game while you're sitting there. You know, I've challenged some restaurants too. I went to a restaurant a few weeks ago where my wife wanted a grilled piece of fish. She's a picky eater. She just wanted a grilled, but they would not make it for her.
How do you feel about specifically Yelp?
It just gives everybody a voice. And the problem is people just want to be heard. And it's like, I hate to say it, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. Because what are you really just trying? People are working hard. People are running businesses. People are trying to make money. I'm sorry that you had a bad experience or you with some pissy friends, but you need to tell the whole world.
Well, a lot of they don't know. That's what's really hard for us because we're a very personal, hands-on company. And I mean, yes, the thing about it's like social media. It's just written down, but like get me in my face and say that to my face, and it's it's really easy to hide behind Facebook and to be this person that's so tough around Facebook. And you know, there was a situation, and we get it all the time, and we are, you know, paying attention to our Facebook fan pages always, and it's really hard. It's you know, we can never do anything perfectly, of course, and so how do you handle it? And there was a situation we had recently with an artist that we didn't book at one of our events, and they're getting a little self-righteous about how could you not book this artist, but they don't know the story, you know? I mean, we try so hard, and they think the music business sometimes is just, it's fun. I mean, it's fun because music is great, but it's really hard. And finally, my boss, Mark, and I talked about it, and he was like, you can say something. So I went on his page and said, look, guys, we tried to book him. He's got another commitment. Have some more faith in us. You know, and then there was this whole thread about, oh, we love you guys. Everything you do is great. But, like, they were really pissed at us. And there was a reason for it, you know? So it's just diffusing as much as possible.
But in that situation, you were able to respond
right.
to them directly, where without social media, you might
it's
not be
true.
able to.
They would have talked behind our back or whatever. But I mean, I'm glad that we have that opportunity. But there's a lot of times, and they're saying things that we just don't say anything because it's just. And I want to. I'm sitting at home, and I'm like, please let me respond to them. And they're like, you can't. It's not personal. Like, I really take it so personally because we work so hard. And I know they care, but they don't understand. And I just have to say on the fire thing, it's just so funny because specifically, that's what we do, okay? So I had to watch it like.
It makes you look that much better, though, just saying.
I assure you that everybody was like, that is not a Cloud9 adventure. I assure you. But people, it was funny. I had to watch it by myself. Like, I had just gotten back from our events. When it was airing was when we were in Mexico, and everyone's like, did you watch it? I'm like, don't talk to me about it. And I had to go home, and I watched it by myself, and cried because it was just so sad, but then also just cried with pride on what we do, because, the art of hospitality, it is exactly what Cloud9 does, and we're living proofs of it, so. Anyway.
Well, one thing to say. In regards to the people that hide behind the negative comments, I've always found that because they usually purchase from me, I have all their data in my system. I call them. I just call them up and go like, I obsess, not as much as I used to, but even I own a bar back in California, and the same thing. People are like, this guy was an asshole to me, and I'm like, well, I know the dude's never an asshole. You're lying, and you call them up, and they'll usually rescind the comments, or it's just. Call them on the phone. They're different people. Everybody's real tough on the internet.
Right.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
We appreciate the one-on-one comments, the criticisms, the phone call or the emails that come in. We fuck up. We deserve the critique, and we learn from it, hopefully, and it's important. It's Yelp is what can suck because it can be an unwarranted comment. We go into a new market, and there's a real quantitative pain that comes with someone who is just putting bullshit out there because, they're a horrible person. And there are a few horrible people out in this world, and you're fighting it for months, and you're paying for it. And it's added a tremendous amount of work when it's 1 to 1 million people versus 1 to 1. The 1 to 1 we really do appreciate.
We recently hired somebody to handle all that, and it's funny because if you look at some people's accounts, there are people that never have anything nice to say about anything.
Most of them.
And it's like they just keep destroying places. It's like that. I don't know if you saw Saturday Night Live with Adam Sandler. You see that
was
skit where he's like, if you come on our tour, you're not gonna have a good time. It was like, if you don't have a good time, like. Stop going out to places if you're just going to trash them everywhere you go. I was saying something before when I went to that restaurant. My wife wanted a grilled piece of fish. My wife was like, hey, you should post that you're here. I'm like, I don't care. I'm out to dinner with friends. At the end of the meal, I mentioned that I was there, and somebody must have been watching, because on the way out, whoever it was said, hey, by the way, you're Chef Capon? I said, yeah. They said, oh, we hope you enjoyed yourself. Next time you come back, we'll make your wife that grilled piece of fish plain. And I was like, you know what? You missed that boat. Like, why? Why? Because you looked up who I am and I have X amount of followers and now it's important to you? What's the line? Treat celebrities like people and people like celebrities? Screw that. You take care of everybody that walks in that door and you never pass judgment.
Also a Danny Meyer philosophy in there.
Never read the book.
And I know. We know.
Maybe I should write a book.
I'm going to get you the book. I'm
going to write a book.
This guy's got a couple copies.
The Art of Hospitality, coming soon by Josh Capon. Forward by Andrew Chasen.
2020. All right, so just one thing on the whoever said about putting your phones down and how it's kind of a double-edged sword. I think it was the guy who doesn't read books at the end. We went to a Chappelle show at Radio City where they took your phones. Or not took your phones, but they put it into like a little case. It's magnetized. You can't use the phone while you're in there. If they see you take it out, they will ask you to leave. And it was Chappelle and Seinfeld was opening for him, which is pretty awesome. And so two.
You're just letting us know that you went to that show and we didn't.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Rub it in.
And so two very obviously different comics, but it was literally the most present room that I've been in a decade. Like, it was insane how present everyone was, and you forget by having your phones out, even if somebody else has their phone out, how distracting it really is. And I remember coming back to the office and being like, we need to do stuff like that. And obviously, he's in an enviable position because he can do whatever he wants, and he's still going to sell out Radio City regardless if people are posting about it or not. But I thought it was It's one of those things you yearn for and wish it could happen more often. And I get that there is the double-edged sword of, well, you want promotion and you want people to know about it, but you also want people to be present and to really experience what it's all about and why we all got into what we do in the first place. You know?
My daughter's in the age of bar mitzvahs now, so I'm going to bar mitzvahs every other Saturday night. And I watch these kids, especially the guys, sit on couches all on their phone playing dumb games. And like, you know, spending a lot of money to throw a party here, put the phone away, dance with some girls, hang out, have some fun, jump around. And I said to my daughter, why don't we take the phones away at your bar mitzvah? She's like, no, you can't do that. You know, people got to, you know, videotape my entrance. I'm like, who the fuck cares? You know, but they don't get it. They don't understand what's important at the time. And I'll tell you something else. There was an article a year ago about cell phones are adding 20 to 25 minutes on table turns in restaurants. Because, you know, you in New York, unfortunately...
You got to get the shot, man.
No, but you have to slot an hour and a half to 2 hours for a table, right? People sit down 10 minutes before they catch up on their cell phone and before they even order, it's 10 minutes. And then at the end of the meal, all four of them bust out their cell phones. Where are we going? What are we doing? Who's calling the Uber? And you're sitting there. I got 6 people waiting for the table, and they're just on the bill's paid. They're just hanging on their phone. And I walk over very nicely. I'm like, everybody enjoy themselves? Yeah, everything was great.
Yeah.
Good, get the fuck out.
Here's some hospitality. Get the fuck out.
And you know what?
All right.
If you did a good job up until then, they look at you and they smile because they know they've been sitting there for 20 minutes.
All right, cell phones, bad. We're moving on. All right. So I want to know what, I know that everybody here is obviously a big music fan, even the guy at the end who probably didn't read the Torah at the bar mitzvahs either. But I know.
Sang the Torah.
Whatever. But I know that everybody
Is
here.
there anybody out there?
Everybody's inspired by something, so I'm curious. You obviously have mentioned Danny Meyer, and he inspires, he inspires how you approach hospitality. But I'd love to hear who or what influences how you approach hospitality, whether it's music, food, whatever.
Well, you had mentioned my mom. My mom, Sheila Lukens, wrote the Silver Palette cookbooks. She helped define how modern people cook, and she wrote the book on hospitality before there was any of it. She saw the need for people who wanted to cook and basically took you step by step on how to live your life in the kitchen. And she continues to inspire people, so definitely my mom. And the artists inspire me. I really love music so much. People always say to me all the time, it's amazing that you're actually in the music business and you're at almost every concert that I go to. And they're my muses. They're why I do this. And the fans are amazing. Our fans are so full of love and appreciation, and they're so cool and creative and fun in their own way that they inspire me. They even made a shirt on Jam Cruise this year that said, "In Annabelle we trust." And it was awesome, and I was just like, yeah, okay.
Can I get an XL?
Yeah.
In Josh Capon we trust. And then the other one, which is crazy, I actually sent Warren Haynes a text about this, is that in 2001, I won a Jammy, okay?
Grammy
Pete
Jammy.
Shapiro, I think we should bring back the jammies. I don't think I'm alone in that, actually. But in 2001, before I had really started my career, I was accepting this jammy, and Warren Haynes was about to go on stage right before me. And I remember grabbing him and saying to him, I was so nervous, and said to him, how do you do it? How do you get out there every single night and do it? He's like, you just do it. And he pushed me out on stage. And I was so scared. Fast forward to 2019, Warren Haynes
There you go.
just got to speak in a beautiful, eloquent way, and now I get to be on a panel here.
Warren Haynes actually opened for you. You
Right,
realize
that's
that, right?
actually somebody said that to me.
I mean, we got bumped, but Warren Haynes was our opener, which is pretty cool.
I've always wanted that.
Anyone else, Eddie?
Soul shine is better than moonshine.
You have a beautiful voice.
On stage, fellas. We're on stage.
For me, it's a couple things. One is just quality. It's when I started my business, like I like things to be done right, and then I have people like Pete, and look at this establishment here. It's done amazing. Or my competition too has also driven me. I think Dan Berkowitz is back there somewhere. He would be someone that that sets a bar, and there's always a constant push to do better. And you know, that's really what drives me, is just not, you can't be lazy and do a shitty job. Like, who wants that? I don't understand how those businesses operate. I mean, that's just my, you know.
No, we're with you. I think quality inspires other quality. You go and we say it all the time. We actually take a lot of inspiration for our culinary events from music experiences because it's such a different level, to be honest. And how you feel when you leave a concert. How do you make them feel that way when they leave one of our events? Obviously, a great restaurant does the same thing. You leave a great restaurant, whether it was the food, the music, the ambience, the server, whatever. You leave there and you feel like you're on cloud nine, and it's like
Well done.
and then how do you make sure that those experiences keep happening? So we take a lot from the music world for sure.
I do want to add a footnote, though. I have worked with some artists who just don't give a fuck. And it's hard to care when they don't. So I guess they also drive the inspiration. And those artists I try to get rid of eventually. But
I think food and music and sports and art is all we got left. Everything else can go to hell.
Including books, right?
Oh, books are important.
All right.
And by the way, I know how to read, and I do read books. When I hire people, when I interview people, the one question, especially in the hospitality business, I always say, do you have hospitality in your blood? And they look at me like, because the truth is, you generally have to want to take care of people. Like when somebody comes into my house and I offer them a glass of water and they say to me, oh, don't worry about it, you're not working. I'm not working, but you just came into my house. I can offer you a beverage, whether it's a glass of water or a cold beer or lemonade. I just think there's got to be something inside that makes you want to genuinely take care of people.
No doubt. All right, so we've got a few more minutes left before we go to the Q&A. I want to ask, what do you guys think?
By the way, I'm like a polar bear. I sleep at 65 degrees. It's fucking freezing up here. Is it just me?
Welcome to the
Annabelle,
stage,
are you
baby.
cold? I'm never cold, ever.
I am
it's
cold.
freezing up here.
Yeah, but it's okay.
I'll leave that one alone. All right. So what do you guys think is the next big thing, or things that we should be looking out for? You mentioned, Dan, obviously what you guys do at Cloud9. Things are constantly evolving. What you've done with City Winery, you're evolving the music experience here. Like, what else is coming that you can share with us that that you think's exciting as it relates to hospitality or just the live experience overall?
We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. I mean, we're opening 3 locations, 110,000 square feet of facilities in the next 6 months. That's enough for us, and we're going to keep doing that.
where are those locations at?
We opened Philadelphia in September. We're moving New York from Varick Street to Pier 57. We're cohabitating with Google.
Your SEO is going to go up like crazy now.
Who?
Yeah, there's at least bandwidth in the building. And we're building a big production facility upstate New York. And we're doing a couple of we're trying a small footprint concept that we might roll out in a bunch of locations. And we're looking in Toronto and LA and Denver and Miami and London and a few other places right now.
Can I pause before anyone else answers the questions? I have one personal question.
You
I'd
can
like
do
to
whatever
ask
you want. You're the moderator.
All right, let me moderate then. So Prince played at your venue, like pretty much the greatest artist of all time, regardless of all your jam band freaks out there like I am. But Prince, I mean, it's hard to top that. How does that go down? I'm just curious. Like, does he call you? Does he send you like a symbol, emojis, or something? Like, what happens?
Well, there's some great stories there. We did I did a tribute at Carnegie Hall to his music as part of a series, and we thought we were getting an after party with that, and it didn't happen. And then we did get an after party about a year later in Chicago, and he really liked the room. And then he reached out to us, and through smoke signals and all kinds of odd communications to Shlomo, who does the booking, and then the day before he was going to perform, and it was a 4-day run of the band, and he had committed to doing a couple of nights of the 4. And I was doing an interview like this, but a vlog, and I called His Highness a motherfucker by accident. I just said, I've been working so hard to get this motherfucker to play for a long time. And within 5 minutes, my phone rang, and it said, please call me immediately. What's your number? And I'm like, well, you have my number. You just sent me a text. It was a text, not a phone call. And it was one of these two young ladies that was his, at the time, assistants. And he had somehow heard that I called him a motherfucker. And I did it out of pure respect and love, because I thought but I forgot that at the time he wasn't cursing. So I had to write 100 times on a piece of yellow paper, I'm sorry, your name is Prince. And I'm sorry, your name is Prince. And I had to take a photo of it, send it to the number, and then maybe he would reconsider showing up that night.
That's what they told you had to
That's
do?
awesome.
That's what I had to do.
It's like the blackboard in elementary school. I love that.
And so the choice, so you didn't know that there was a long story
That's
here.
incredible.
So, but that's what sometimes you got to do to get the show. Bend
That is
over.
awesome. He didn't return my text when I texted him at 1 a.m. and said, "Can I get in?" But other than that, I think it was great. Next time, I'll just call you motherfucker. Annabelle?
So as far as the future goes, I think we're doing it. Cloud9 is taking the concert experiences and bringing it to luxury resorts. And so as we're all music lovers, but coming back to your cabin, with your towel and your sunglasses looking like a bunny rabbit is awesome. We also, what we are doing is we're engaging new artists and new fans. So Jam Cruise started as one event on this little dinghy back in 2004, and 17 years later, we are doing 9 to 10 international events a year with many mainstream artists and eclectic fan base. And so just diversifying for us is really important, but also doing things within the event. For example, we have a great program on Jam Cruise called Chefs at Sea, where all you... All right, Capon,
know
we'll
any
see if
chefs.
I
we'll
haven't gotten that
accept
call
your
yet, but that's
application this
okay.
year.
I like cruises. I like jams.
So we love
I'm
it,
a
and
chef.
we have chefs come and do a theme night every night, and they're all renowned chefs around the country. And then we're starting a Wellness at Sea program this year, because I think the holistic and spiritual aspect of music and life is really important. So we'll have Reiki and yoga and spiritual fun
You
things.
will not be going on that one, Capon.
Yeah, you're not allowed in that one. No, not you.
Maybe the culinary
Actually,
cruise.
you need
I don't
it.
do well on
Actually, you need
boats.
it more than most. And then also on one of our events, we bring out at Strings and Soul, our bluegrass event, we bring out a fruit boat. So it's literally a guy in a kayak, and he has little sticks of fruit, and we go and hand them to people. And people are just like, yes, it's not just a concert experience. It's more than that. And then also for one big holiday, we did the Super Bowl, and it was out in the lagoon, like at sunset, huge screen TV, little Super Bowl finger foods to be eating, and people were watching the Super Bowl at this completely epic location, and it's just taking the concert experience up to a new level. That's what we're trying to do.
Love it. Eddie?
I think for me, the way I see it is it's definitely quality and continuing to increase the quality of the experiences. Like, if you guys remember going to concerts back in the day and getting, probably $9, $10 hot dogs, and that still happens at a lot of large scale venues. And I feel like that's just not what people are excited about. That's not what people want. And I just think that it's definitely like you were saying, it's the experience, and it needs to continue to change and evolve. And whether it's 800 people or 50,000 people, people want to have different variations, and I feel like that's continuing, whether it's inside the arena or outside of the arena, the venue. Yeah.
Would you like to respond?
Rebuttal?
Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads.
So your answer is the flux capacitor, is that what you're saying?
I'm going back to the future. I hope we don't get too far ahead of ourselves. And that's nice. I hope we don't forget what's important. I really don't, and that's my only concern. I have an old soul, and I think technology is an unbelievable tool. But I just don't think we should forget what's important. And, we just got back from Jazz Fest. I was hanging out with Annabelle at Jazz Fest, and Shappy was down there. The whole world was down there. And the reason why Jazz Fest is so special, pretty much the same thing for the last 50 years. It's great food, it's great hospitality, it's great music. You're just hanging out with good friends. It's really not that fancy. You know, and I've seen a lot of music festivals come and go that just don't get it. They don't get what it's all about. And I just hope we don't forget, you know, to take care of people, give them a good product, don't kill them, and let them have some fun.
Love it. All right. Well, we are technically out of time, but if we want, we can take a few questions.
You know where you are! You're at the bowl, baby! You're gonna die!
Does anyone have any questions? I can't see anything.
Yes, hi. My name is Kathleen. All of you guys seem to have hearts of gold, which I think really makes it, yeah, let's clap for that. Unlike maybe current administration orange people. Anyway, my question to you is, because we didn't really get into this a little bit, can you talk about like when you go to like an experience, whether it be a concert or a venue or a restaurant, like what do you look for? Like what is a good indication of like good service or not? And also what can musicians do to bring like this level of hospitality that you guys are talking about to their experiences with their fans, etc.?
Smiles. I want to see people smiling. I want to see people having a good time. I want to see people enjoying what they're doing. Del Posto got reviewed today. I'm done with all the reviews, but I happened to read Del Posto got reviewed today. And they knocked it down from 4 stars to 3 stars because the guy said it looked like nobody was having a good time working there. It was very mechanical. You got to have a good time. You can't fake it. Do something that you want to do. If you don't, find something else.
Anyone else? Eddie?
Yeah, in regards to how the artists are, what was I didn't get the second part of the question.
Just like what musicians can do to use the hospitality with their fans.
Right. Using hospitality, I mean, I've done activations that range between 50 people to 800 people, and it scales all over the place. And when you're touring, it's hard because the consistency varies on tour to tour. I have a couple tours out right now where we have 3/4 of a semi full of bars, and you have to do localized alcohol, and you have to do in each market. There's lots of intricate things that go into play versus having a stable establishment. But really, it comes down to setting the bar, having the right people, like we said earlier, and making sure that whatever it is that you're representing the artist and what their vision is, because that's really what my job is, to take what the artist's vision is and implement it. So it's a little different than like your vision and you and your staff implementing it. I have a boss above me who's pushing it down to me, which I'm pushing it out. So.
You know what the most important word he said? What was the most important word he just said?
You're the boss?
Who said it? Who said it? Consistency.
Oh, consistency.
The true definition of quality is consistency. Be as good, if not better, every time people come back.
We've got to wrap it up, so real quickly.
I want to also talk, the art of hospitality is also important for the artist because their fans are their most important assets. And I think that one of the things that I really love is I nurture my relationships with these artists, and then they become my best friends, and then they'll follow. Les Claypool once said, "Annabelle, you're the only person that I know who could make me follow you like a duck." And he followed me like a duckling back on Jam Cruise 1 when we were having an issue. And I mean, the point is that they need to connect with their fans. So any opportunity we can give them, whether it's a meet and greet or whether it's an after show or whether it's some prize that they're giving away for their, to sell tickets, is to meet the band or write the set list or something like that. They have to step up their game too, because they want to keep their fans coming back. And money is there's only so much money to go around, so the more they can engage their fans and be hospitable with them, more than just the concert, is going to be beneficial for them too.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Josh Capon, Eddie Meehan, Annabelle Lukens, and
Long
Michael
live the
Dorff.
bowl!